Hello, welcome to the channel Tarot Yogi. I'm Vinit, and today we have another timeless pickacard reading on how do people feel when they see you in public. And even before we begin today's juicy reading, I do want to announce that I will be offering my tarot course on 15th of May, my witchcraft course on 3rd of July, and my astrology course on 3rd of October. So if you're interested in learning either or all the arts from me, send me an email or hit me up on my Instagram to get more details. I will also link the syllabus video in the description box below if you are interested in checking out what I have to teach. And you can do the same if you want a personal reading from me. You can hit me up. I will very happily read your birth chart as a part of the personal reading. And please do like the video for me, share, subscribe, comment. Please hype the video for me 3 times. It really makes a huge difference. And thank you so much for all the love, all the lovely sweet comments, all the donations, all the hypes, all the subscribes. I genuinely appreciate your support, and I feel super grateful that I get to continue to do this work and share my spiritual journey with you guys. So thank you so much for being a part of it. And now let's begin this reading on how do people feel when they see you out in public. So we have 3 piles to choose from. Pile number 1, we have I think pile number 1 is Cats Rule the Earth Tarot. Pile number 2 is our Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot. And pile number 3, we have the Ethereal Blooms Tarot. So take a minute, see what pile is being called to you intuitively. The description box below will have the timestamp for your pile. And again, remember, these are general readings. Take what resonates, leave the rest. If you like my style of reading, do like the video, share, subscribe, comment. Please hype the video for me 3 times. If you want to learn either of the arts, tarot, witchcraft, astrology, if you want a personal reading, hit me up and I'll see you guys in your reading. Thank you. Hello, pile number 1. If you chose Cats Rule the Earth Tarot, this is your reading on how do people feel when they see you out in public. And even before we begin today's reading, I do want to announce that I will be offering my tarot course starting 15th of May, my witchcraft course starting 3rd of July, and my astrology course starting 3rd of October. So if you're interested in learning either or all the arts from me, send me an email or hit me up on my Instagram to get more details. You can do the same if you want a personal reading from me. I will very happily read your birth chart as a part of the personal reading. And please do like the video for me, share, subscribe, comment. Please hype the video for me. It really makes a huge difference. And thank you so much for the love, all the lovely sweet comments. You guys are simply the most wonderful, and I feel super grateful that I get to share my spiritual journey with you guys. So thank you so much for being a part of it. And now let's begin this reading on how do people view you when you're out in public. Okay, pile number 1. So we have the 7 of Cups, 7 of Wands, and we have the 7 of Pentacles. We have 777 beginning your reading, and we have 2 black cats and 1 white cat. 7 is a very spiritual number. We have 7 chakras, 7 days of the week, corresponding to the 7 planets in the sky, and we have the 7 notes that make up the music key that makes up the scale. And we have 7 colors of the rainbow. And Inanna had 7 jewels that she had to let go of in order to descend into the underworld. And 7 is the number of mastery, because even if you look at the tarot majors, right, we have 21 cards plus we have the Fool. And if you look at the 21 cards in a septenary, the 7 is the completion of this, the previous 6 cards. So something about a high level of spiritual completion is what we are seeing with you, pile number 1. And there's a very interesting creature that has snuck into the card today. It looks like I don't want to call it a grasshopper because it's not that huge, but it looks something like a mini grasshopper, something in between a spider and a grasshopper. Fascinating. It's just on the ring light. It's really funny to me. So maybe this is your spirit guardian. And I know I'm just rambling, but what I'm trying to say, pile number 1, is how do people feel about you in public? Well, it really depends on who's looking at you in public. And I know it's a lot of people. But what I'm getting firstly is definitely very complex. You're definitely a very complex creature. Might I say, even very alien to most people. You don't fit in. You don't conform, and you're not trying to. You're trying to be yourself. And I think people will only see you at the level that they are at. So there's a lot of projection in your energy. I'm also getting Neptune in the first house. You could have that placement. Or even if you don't have that placement, it reminds me of Marilyn, because Marilyn has that placement, and there's something very, universal about that sort of fantasy appeal that she had, because everyone can project something onto her, right? And that's the sort of mass appeal that you have. So whoever you come in contact with, they're definitely changed, and they're definitely transfixed and even mesmerized. And I do think you have a lot of people constantly staring at you. And I think a lot of people see you to be too attractive for them, so they just assume that, you wouldn't be into them, or that you would put them down. So they don't even try, and they, project this fantasy onto you that you would not even give them the time of the day. So a lot of fantasy, and people also assume that, you could be very defensive. And I get it, like I'm not defensive, and I'm also not usually sad. A lot of people even in the comments are like, why are you so sad all the time? And I'm honestly not sad, It's just, I am a very contemplative person, and I like to think. And I'm always thinking about something or the other. I'm always thinking about all the birth charts I've ever read at a very deep level, And when you're thinking that deeply, it doesn't always lend to a smile, right? Point number one. And people don't always get that, but people might see your face and be like, oh, why are you so serious? Why are you so sad? But it's not that. It's not that deep. Well, it is that deep, but not what they think, Point number one. People see you to be yet very happy-go-lucky. People see you to be very, very fortunate. Someone who is the star. Someone who is really feeling themselves. Yeah, Ace of Wands, a lot of people are attracted to you, boys and girls. Might I say, boys and girls, both of them are crazy, crazy attracted to you. Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, people want to have babies with you. People want to duplicate and make other humans with you. And not just that, they do want the whole 9 yards. They do want the whole fantasy of things. So a lot of people, even people that you wouldn't usually think of you, they think of you. Trust me, pile number one. Yeah, 10 of Cups. What am I saying? People really see like a happily ever after with you. And I know this is very confusing to you, because I'm telling you at one level, people don't see you, they don't understand you. And I do think that is true, but yet, you are so attractive that people like to project their ultimate fantasies onto you. Things that they want for themselves in the future, or the things that, they cannot have. They sort of combine the two. So, you're definitely being spoken about more than you realize, pile number one. And Tripod just came over here, and he's itching himself. Cute little baby. And that's how people feel about you, You're like a cute little angel descended from the moon. You have that sort of an angelic beauty to you. People notice that. But people might also assume that you're sad when you're not. Like I said, you could just be a deep, deep thinker like me. You could even have Sun in the 12th house, or Moon in the 12th house. I'm getting strong 12th house energy. So even if you're not having a lot of success, know that you need to either leave your country or you need to start earning through remittance. You only have two options. Pile number one. You're a lot like me, might I say. So you either earn through remittance or you leave the country. You have two options. Four of Pentacles. Yeah, I do think right now you have to be shrewd with your expenses. I do think you will have something much better to invest in very, very soon. And I think your appeal is just going to grow. If you're online, I think your online appeal is just going to grow. If you're in a business, if you're doing a job, you will definitely get like a promotion. I'm definitely seeing that. I'm seeing Seven of Pentacles, and Seven of Pentacles is Saturn in Taurus. You could have Saturn in Taurus, or you could have a Saturn-Rahu conjunction. And that brings certain delays into, your success. But it is the sort of delays we need to have permanent success. pile number 1. That's what I'm getting over here. And you could even be going through your Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn Antardasha, Saturn Pratyantardasha. So know that things are slow for a reason. And if Saturn is giving you that extra time, work on yourself. Don't be longing for love. Don't be yearning for love. Don't be yearning for anything else when you have the time to actually work on yourself. Pile number 1. And trust me, when your Saturn period ends, it's just going to be, you're going to have the time of your life. Trust me. It's going to be that good. Yeah, 6 of Wands. Even if you feel you're missing out, you're not. You're exactly where you need to be. And you clearly have so much that needs to be done over here at your end. Pile number 1. So you're definitely on a gradual sort of growth ladder. And people see that, people see that you are like an earnest hard worker, and your hard work always pays off because you do it with your heart. People see you to be very, very balanced. People know that you know yourself. It comes off in how you present yourself. It's very evident to people. Queen of Swords. Yeah, you could come off a little cold even if you're not. But you know what? I don't mind that. Because I like it when people don't talk to me. I like it, when I get to have as much solitude as I can have. So, embrace your introvertedness and let's normalize that, because wanting to have your own time is really needed, and if people could only sit with themselves, most of their problems would just disappear. But they don't, and they just get themselves into more trouble. But you're not that, I think you used to be that way, pile number 1, but I do think you've changed yourself. We got Gemini, we got Shatabishta, and we got Purva Ashada, which is Aquarius, and we got Sagittarius. You're definitely a healer, and you're definitely meant to be social. We were talking about being an introvert, but I have a very public job, even though I don't like being out and about, or I don't like to socialize. I really don't. And the older I get, I see why old people don't want to talk to anyone. I kind of get the vibe. But it's a personality you can put on and put off whenever you need. Right? We all wear different hats throughout the day, and we all have different roles to play. So you can dive in and dive out of that duality. You know what character you need to play when, and when can you tap out, and you do that really, really well. And we have success with Purva Ashada. So there's a lot of success over here, and we have all this Aquarian energy. You're meant to be who you are, and who you are is very, very special, and God has not created another you. And you are really needed on earth right now, pile number 1. You're really, really needed, and only you can do what you can do, and only you can make that kind of change that you can make in the world. Pile number 1. So that's what you're here to do. You're here to make a strong change, like a strong imprint on people, and help them grow. So you inspire anyone and everyone who looks at you, and people see you to be a healer. People can sense that divine, magical energy within you. They're definitely very, very mesmerized. You have Purva Falguni, which is love. Star of Delight. That is the middle decan of Leo. You could have a lot of placements in the sign of Leo. You could be a Leo ascendant. You could be a Leo ascendant in your D1 or your D9. But again, it's this dreamy quality. Even if someone is having a bad day, they look at you and they just have this dreamy feeling. You help people dream again. You give people hope when they don't have it, when they really need it. You're like a cool breeze on a hot summer day. And trust me, it's hot. It's like 40 degrees. I'm just melting in all my videos lately. So it's the summer. And you feel like that. You feel like summer, even though I hate summer, I know most people like summer, and you know, I get it, you know, people in cold places, they want a little sun, but you know, being too close to the sun is also something. And again, that's the thing with you, you know, pile number one, people don't always want to get too close to you because you are a star, and you know, they feel like Icarus, you know, they don't want to get too close to the sun. They feel it would just ruin them because you're so complex as a person. So continue to be your beautiful complex self, and even be more complex, you know. And I think the right people will understand you, and the right people will get it, you know. So be who you are, like, without ever apologizing for it, you know? That's all I have. Again, it's a general reading. Take what resonates, leave the rest. If you like my style of reading, do like the video, share, subscribe, comment. Please have the video for me 3 times. If you're interested in learning tarot, astrology, witchcraft, if you want a personal reading, hit me up, and I'll see you guys in the next reading. Thank you. Hello, pile number 2. If you chose the Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot, this is your reading on how do people feel when they see you out in public. And even before we begin today's reading, I do want to announce that I will be offering my tarot course starting 15th of May, my astrology course starting 3rd of October, and my witchcraft course starting 3rd of July. So if you're interested in learning either or all the arts from me, send me an email or hit me up on my Instagram to get more details. You can do the same if you want a personal reading from me. And please do like the video for me, share, subscribe, comment. Please have the video for me 3 times. It really makes a huge difference. And thank you so much for all the love, all the lovely sweet comments. You guys are simply the most wonderful, and I feel super grateful that I get to share my spiritual journey with you guys. So thank you so much for being a part of it. And now let's begin this reading on how do people feel when they see you out in public. And what I was getting is soulmate. You know, I think everyone that sees you out in public, they feel like you are their soulmate. You know, you're the most coveted person in the room. There's just something inherently priceless about you that everyone wants it, because there's only one and not everyone else can have it. And you know, you feel like that mystery box that is actually worth it. You know, I'm seeing those advent calendars that the influencers get, but you know, you're the real deal. Like, you're the package with the real goodies, pile number 2. So you give that energy off right away. You know, people can feel your importance right away. You could have sun in the 7th house, and I've seen with sun in the 7th house people that they are codependent, and that's not a bad thing at all. You know, sometimes your karma is to be codependent with people, and maybe most of your major life lessons will come through people, and you will transform through people, and you will learn through people. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. Not everyone is supposed to be hyper independent. There are certain people that have codependencies, and they're supposed to experience that as their karma and learn from that, from the codependency, you know. And I do think you have that in a way, pile number 2. So a lot of people are, and people feel that way, and people feel that way with you, know, they feel very codependent. They feel as if they need you, they're relying on you, and even if they don't know you, they feel that instant connection, and they want to be close to you, and they want to get to know you and get to be with you. You definitely have that celebrity-like, star-like energy to yourself, pile number 2, even if you don't always acknowledge it. We look at the cards. I'm just talking. You got the Magician, and this is one of my favorite Magician cards. This is literally one of my favorite Magician cards, not just because she's a feline. We love that. Look at her. You know, she's half human, half cat, half feline, you know, something in between. So you are much like this cheetah little girl, you know, and you can shapeshift to what you need to be when you need to be it, and you do it really well, and you do it really flawlessly. You do it with so much ease, and you do it with so much glamour. People are always looking at you. You could even have Venus in the 1st house. You're very striking, you're very beautiful, you're very, very charming. And you know, I speak to so many people who have Venus in the 1st house, and I also have Venus in my 1st house, you know, and I tell them that, you know, you have to use your charms. You have to use the way you look to promote yourself and to further yourself in what you're doing. You know, God has given you the beauty for a reason. Use the beautiful face God has given you. Yeah, Queen of Wands, what am I saying? I'm so right. And, you know, she's a witchy queen. You know, Queen of Wands is the witchiest of the queens, and she has a black cat. So, and people really see that, you know, you are someone who will go to any means to get what they want. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean that in a very ambitious sort of a way. So you carry that energy to yourself in a very soft, effortless sort of a way. I'm also getting strong Taurus energy. You know, you just pull things off very, very easily. I think a lot of people also see you as competition though. So again, people are very polarized by you. You're either loved or you're either hated. And you understand that that is two sides of the same coin. You know, Pilometer. Yeah, Ace of Cups. They're all your sons. You are the parent, they're the sons. It's very clear. A lot of people could even try to replicate you. People could replicate your style, you know, your hair, how you carry yourself, you know, if you take certain angles, if you take pictures at certain angles. Because I remember, you know, a lot of people have copied my hair or the way I would take pictures, even when I was much younger, you know. And I'm not just saying that to boast, but I have genuinely seen that. And as I say that, you know, there's a black and white cat that I can see just exactly behind in the rearview mirror. And, you know, she's descending from the heavens. And look at her, you know, she has no care in the world. She knows the world is hers. You know, and that's how people feel. You know, you're so mesmerizing. You're like a cat, you know, because whenever I see a cat in anywhere, you know, even in public or especially when they're hunting, you know, I feel like those boys watching cricket. You know, I'm at the edge of my seat just observing the cat. You know, how they hunt. You know, how they sort of lock in, how their eyes change. And, you know, everything about a cat is so meditative. It is so precise. It is so perfect. You know, God has really created felines so beautiful, right? And I'm always very much in awe when I see cats hunt. So you have that nature to yourself, you know. And see, cats hunt playfully. They hunt for the sake of hunting. They do it for the joy of hunting. You know, then I think dogs are a little innocent, and, you know, they're very like needy. But, you know, cats, you know, you can leave a cat out and a cat will come home and, you know, beat up like a bunch of dogs. And you have that energy to yourself, you know. You are the cat, Pilometer. Yeah, High Priestess. Very, very intuitive. What was I saying? Witchy abilities, intuitive abilities, or psychic abilities. You definitely have them. And I think once you hit a certain age, you know, you're just gonna get so spiritually witchy. That's what I feel. And I really believe it, you know. I think based on how much you're bringing from your past lives, even I remember when I turned a certain age, you know, tarot just came into my life and it basically just hijacked my life, and I haven't looked back since. So I do think you will have a moment like that within your life too. If you're trying to figure things out and you're not where you want to be, I do think you will be where you need to be. It's just sometimes you have to pick up other skills. You know, I had to pick up a lot of seemingly random skills, you know, to people, but all of that was adding to my intuitive abilities and my intuitive insights in a way. So, you know, a lot of the mistakes that I made weren't really mistakes, and they sort of realigned me to the part that I had to be in. So even if people don't see the method to your madness, there is a method, and it's not just a method, it's a divine method, because I do think, you know, you're divinely being guided to even make certain mistakes that you'll realize are not mistakes later, because it's just destiny. It's just how the cookie has to crumble, and sometimes it is for the better, you know. Even I'm so grateful for even my most annoying and painful experiences where, you know, I've had to force myself to grow, but it was rewarding nonetheless. And I think you are a bit like that, you know. I think people don't always see your struggles, but people see the finished product, and it is like a beautiful Birkin bag. That's what I'm seeing in my mind. So, you know, you are art, Pilometer. That's how people feel when they see you walking on the road, you know. It's like walking up, it's like watching a painting walk. That's the energy you have. And that's how people feel when they see you out in public. Yeah, Emperor, you are a boss. You could be very well dressed. You could be very put together. And something about these buttons, buttons keep things together. So I do think you have that superpower of the glue. You keep a lot of people together that, seemingly don't seem to get along. And you have that emotional maturity to you. People can read that emotional maturity of your face, and they're very impressed by that, by number 2. And I was saying Taurus energy, and here we have Taurus. And this is one of my favorite King of Pentacles Taurus cards. This is a brilliant deck. It is so beautiful. I think it's pretty genius what the artist has done here. And this is what you are, the unsuspecting bull. Yes, you're very refined, you're very polished, you have everything together, but never to test your patience. And this is what I say about all Taurus people. We'll be the nicest, right? Taurus people will be the nicest. They'll put up with everything else that no other sign will put up with, but there's a limit. And when you cross that limit, you get the mad bull. And what is the mad bull going to do? It's going to stomp all over you, right? So I think a lot of people know you have that side to yourself, but they don't get to see it, but they do think about it. And I think you have that obsessive energy. You could have a strong 6th house. A lot of planets in the 6th house are in Virgo. So yes, there's a lot of this critical energy, this perfectionist energy, but at the same time, people are also very, very obsessed with you. So you definitely attract a lot of obsessive people who are very, very obsessed with you and want you and need you. And, they see you as the key to all their problems, but it's not, you're just the shiny thing, to them. So make sure that people are not objectifying you always, because there is a lot of that mixed energy of people putting their fantasies onto you. And I think a lot of people even see you for the money. I think you look good, you dress good, you look like you have a certain kind of money, and you do. So that often, gives people the wrong idea. But I think you're divinely protected anyway. So people definitely see your money too when they see you out in public. And what was I just saying? I was just talking about Virgo placements, and we have Hasta Nakshatra, which is the middle decan of Virgo. And we have Pushya, which is Cancer, early degrees of Cancer. So strong Cancer and strong Virgo in your chart. Feelings, kindness. People do think you're extremely empathetic, intuitive, very loving. You could be the kind that feeds animals, feeds birds, takes care of plants. So you have that very humanitarian nature to you, and people can sense that, people can see that, Revati, again, very, very intuitive, very divine. You look very put together. Like, people can tell that you've had it going for yourself forever. So you have that appeal here, pile number 2, to everyone, even people that have never met you. And I do think you've had a lot of past lives, and there's a lot of this past life stuff that you're trying to remember and recollect. And I do think a lot of things will happen in your life where you have to go through these past life cycles. But the more you clear them, the more you'll remember your past life, and that's how you will get your liberation. And I do think there are some ancestral things that are also stuck, whether it's ancestral property, money, certain disputes. All of that will be resolved through you. You're going to be the conduit to bring in the justice and to bring in the peace in your house, your family, in your family line, in your bloodline, especially generationally. That's what I'm seeing, pile number 2. So you're very, very special to your ancestors, and you're very, very loved. You could even have Ketu in the 5th house, or Ketu in Leo. Yeah. That's all I have. Again, it's a general reading. Take what resonates, leave the rest of you. Like my style of reading, do like the video, share, subscribe, comment. Please hype the video for me 3 times. If you want a personal reading, hit me up, and I'll very happily read your birth chart as part of the reading, and I'll see you guys in the next reading. Thank you. Hello, pile number 3. If you chose the Ethereal Blooms Tarot, this is your reading on how do people feel when they see you out in public. And Even before we begin today's reading, I do want to announce that I will be offering my tarot course starting 15th of May, my astrology course starting 3rd of October, and my witchcraft course starting 3rd of July. So if you're interested in learning either or all the arts from me, send me an email or hit me up on my Instagram to get more details. You can do the same. If you want a personal reading from me, I would very happily read your birth chart as a part of the personal reading. And please do like the video for me, share, subscribe, comment. Please have the video for me 3 times. It really makes a huge difference. And thank you so much for all the love, all the lovely sweet comments. Thank you so much for all the donations. I feel super grateful that I get to share my spiritual journey with you guys. So thank you so much for being a part of it. And now let's begin this reading on how do people feel when they see you out in public. So we got the Hermit, Ace of Swords, and we got the Two of Wands. You could be a bit of a loner, pile number 3. I think that's how people see you. But not loner in like an uncool way, you know, loner in a way where, you know, you are the kind of person that everyone wants to hang out with. You are the kind of person that everyone thinks is really hip and cool, and you know, you really have something going on for yourself, and you're very self-reliant, and you're very hyper independent, and this really adds to your charm and your character because people really see that, you know, you're really bad all by yourself. So, you know, you could definitely be a strong introvert over here, or you know, you could have strong introverted tendencies. You know, even online, I don't think you post yourself with people. I think if you post yourself at all, it's like alone, you know. So people see you to be a lone wolf, and people see you to be someone who has their guard up, someone who's very focused on their life, on their daily routine, someone who's very guarded in the terms of what they have going on, and you know, will not let you in their life so easily. But people do see that, you know, you're an honest person, you're a very truth-speaking person, and you're very, very attractive. You know, you could even belong to the Devgan because that's what I'm seeing. You know, you're very close to God. You're like an angel walking the earth. Pile number 3. You definitely have that quality to you. You could even have a very beautiful voice. You could have Gemini in the 2nd house. You could be a Taurus rising. 9 of Cups. People see you to be the wish fulfillment. Even if, you know, they've seen you for the very first time, they didn't even know that you are the thing that they wanted or needed. You know, what I'm getting is, you know, when you go to like the mall, right? When you go to the mall to get something that you want, but you see 10 other things that distract you, and you know, you don't even get to what you wanted to buy, but you'll buy 10 other things, and then you'll be like, oh my god, I spent so much money. And then you'll finally buy what you actually came there to buy, but you also bought a lot of other things. You know, so you have that energy. You know, it's like once people see you, they realize what they were missing, and they feel like it was you. And again, you know, you're very, I wouldn't say you're self-centered, but I think you're very self-preserving. You're really focused onto yourself and maintaining your daily habits. You could have strong Virgo, 6th house energy again, I'm getting over here. Even 12th house is very, very activated for you. I'm getting strong Piscean energy here as well. So definitely an old soul, definitely here someone who's very much here to only give. You're definitely a giver, and people can see that on your face, you know. You're constantly giving, whether it is your love, whether it is your time, whether it is your knowledge, whether it is your attention, whether it is your love. You know, people are constantly wanting things from you, whether it is money, whatever it is, you know, people are really wanting things from you. And I said money, and we got Queen of Pentacles. I'm so right. So I do think you are like that good friend who is usually loaded and actually has money to, you know, lend their friends. So, you know, people see you in that very responsible light, you know. Even if you're a woman, you know, you are the man. And I know that's a very patriarchal way of looking at it, but you get the point of what I'm trying to make over here. You're going to be the one who wears the pants in the relationship too. And I'm not saying that your partner's going to be broke by Lamati. I'm just saying that you're still going to have the authority, and you're going to have the control, and you know, you're going to keep the keys to the treasury. You know, it's going to be your responsibility to maintain that wealth and to multiply it. 7 of Cups and Sun. People do project a lot of their fantasies onto you. People like to assume what you do when you're home. How do you dress when you're home? What do you do when you're alone? You know, what kind of hobbies do you have? You're a very intriguing person. You could even have a lot of tattoos. That's what I'm seeing. You know, people are always curious about your tattoos, and this happens with me. You know, even if I'm anywhere randomly and if I don't want to talk to anyone, there's always going to be one person who comes up to me and they want to ask about my tattoos, or you know, a lot of people that I know that are like trying to hit on me or whatever. You know, they'll always start talking about my tattoos, and you know, it's like the same trick, right? So it could be something like that. You know, you could have a tattoo or a piercing that is really prominent and is really, really beautiful, and you know, it's very intriguing to people because, again, even if you are from the place that you are born in, you're not like everyone else in that place, and you know, you have built yourself uniquely. You know, I saw a very funny comment under a video today, and I was just telling my best friend this, and we were just laughing like hyenas on the phone. And I think the comment was something like, you know, I built this algorithm brick by brick. So, you know, you've paid very niche attention, very close detail to, you know, how you present yourself and the vibes, you know, the energy you want to give off. You know, you definitely have a very individualistic style, and I'm seeing Zara Larsson with her, you know, her very summery makeup that has really gone viral, right? So, you know, you have a very, you know how to do branding well. You know how to be an icon, and you know how to visually stand out. You definitely have a strong Taurus Venus pile number 3, but you definitely have a strong Venus and a strong Taurus also. I think you have a lot of planets in the Taurus sign also. So you're here to create beauty. You know, it's about acquisitions. It's about, again, I'm talking about these practical things. I'm talking about these very Taurian things, you know. So I think you'll also embody that energy really, really well. And I think you already do. And I think the more you do that, I do think you will also attract a partner who is very Venus heavy, very Venus dominated. You could look really, really young for yourself. People will not believe your age. You know, people will just not believe your age. And a lot of people feel that they have fallen in love with you at the first sight. That's how they feel. Yeah, Knight of Wands. A lot of players are into you, a lot of playboys are into you, but a lot of Romeos are into you as well. Pile number 3. And I think everyone checks you out, and you know, everyone wants you for their own agenda. Yeah, 5 of Wands. You know, people are ready to go to war for you. And you know, a lot of wars are fought over women, if you really think about it. Yeah, Magician. You know what's up, you know what you're creating, and you are that spiritually advanced that even if God throws some really, really difficult challenges at you, you rise above it regardless, and you create what you want for yourself anyway, and you do it really, really well. Something that most people can't do or can't even keep up with, you know. But you're sort of like in the fast lane, pile number 3. And I think you're very, very known. I think a lot of people know you. So don't overthink, you know. I think shine even more. You could even have Ketu in the 11th, you know, or Ketu in Aquarius. In a way, I feel, you know, you've mastered the masters, and you know, you've done all that in your past life, and what you need to move towards in this lifetime is to focus more on yourself, on your creativity, and you know, your family, your future, the kind of romance you want to have, and the kind of children you want to have. I think those things will be very major themes for you, even if you don't feel like you want those things right now. I think the older you'll get, you know, the desire for these things are just going to drive you insane. So I do think the older version of you is going to look very different from the younger version of yourself. And that's the only way to be, honestly. You know, like when I look at my younger version, or even I look at myself from like few years ago, you know, I was very, very different, and I would rather take that. You know, I would rather go through 10,000 changes in a day than to remain the same person over 3 decades. You know, I don't know how people remain the same after 3 decades, but you know, it is what it is, right? So certain people choose not to change, and that is on them. But you're not a stunted piggy, pile number 3. You are a beautiful, transformative butterfly that transforms constantly, and that's why, you know, you have this magnetic pull to yourself that others simply lack. So all eyes are on you, even if you don't want all the eyes on you. You know, even if people are not trying to check you out, they're checking you out, pile number 3. So you're everyone's type, even if you weren't that type before. Once they see you, you become that type. People see you to be also very, very victorious. I think people naturally want to root for you, you know. Even if you have a lot of enemies, there are a lot more people who actually support you and want the best for you and, you know, really push you to be the best. Pile number 3. That's what I'm seeing. 7 of Wands. Yeah, you have a lot of enemies. You have a lot of people trying to pull you down. A lot of people are trying to take your energy, but I think you can beat them all. You know, you can huff and puff and, you know, blow a wind and all your enemies will be flying in the air. And a lot of people see you as wifey material, as hubby material, someone they really want to settle down with, someone they want to make a home with, someone they want to make something very, very beautiful with. And there was just a flower that fell from the tree. And you know, I've been noticing this one very curious thing, and I don't know what it is because I'm very deep into animal behavior. So if you know, please tell me. You know, I see these parrots in the morning, and they, you know, they usually, it's a parrot couple, and you know what a parrot couple does. But after a while, you know, the male parrot, what he does is, you know, he goes to the tree and he just plucks off all the flowers, and he's not even giving it to the female. He's not even giving it to his shadi. You know, he's just plucking the flowers and he's letting the flowers drop. And I do think about it very deeply, like what is exactly going on there? You know, are they doing that in order to like help the tree generate more flowers? Like why is the parrot just plucking off the flowers? And it's yet very fascinating, and I think you are like that parrot. You know, people don't always know why you're doing what you're doing, even if it's very divinely ordained for you to do. You know, and yet people are very perplexed and mesmerized, and people do talk about you, and people, you know, try to get to conclusions of why you are the way you are based on their limited self-beliefs, right? So you have that celebrity energy, and everyone will perceive you at the level that they are at. Yeah, High Priestess. People know that you know. People know that you're very intelligent and you know what is up. And people who've seen you up close, who've seen your life, they know that you handle difficult situations really, really well. Pile number 3. It is just something that you do over here. The world. Pile number 3. So again, universal appeal, mass appeal. You know, you could even have like a strong Saturn. That's what I'm seeing. You could even have a strong Saturn. That's what I'm seeing. Saturn in the 11th house, first house. Well, first house Saturn is not strong, but you could have Saturn. You could have it though in the 11th or the 1st or the 7th house. That's what I'm seeing. Or even the 6th house, D1, D9. Definitely check that. But people see you to be very wealthy, very abundant. And I'm hearing that Lana poem, and you know, me and my best friend, we just keep laughing about that poem because you know, Lana says that you joke that I'm rich, and I am, but not how you think. And you know, it's very cheeky for her to say that because, you know, she is like rich, but you know, she sometimes likes to, you know, not behave like she's rich. So you have that, you know, damsel in distress sort of an energy to you, and a lot of times people do feel that they want to like come in and save you. But people can definitely see that you have an artistic side to yourself. We got Ashlesha and we got Moon. Strong Cancer energy. Strong Cancer energy. And I know I bash a lot of Cancers on my channel, and rightfully so, but I don't think all Cancers are bad. You know, I will definitely say that as a disclaimer. You know, I do think certain Cancer men can be nice, and they can be good too, you know, so, but not all. Definitely not all. Be careful, yeah. But I do think certain Cancer men are very, very evolved. I do know like 2 of them. So, yeah, we got Purnavasu, which is again Cancer energy. And Purnavasu is symbolized by the bow. And that is opposite the constellation of Sagittarius. And that is usually Canis Major and Sirius. So you could be a Syrian star seed. Pile number 3. And we have a cute cat over here. You're definitely meant to be a leader, pile number 3, and you're meant to lead people. That's why people are following you, people look at you. In a way, they're looking at your soul for guidance. Even if they don't always understand what they're doing, that's what they're doing. So you're here to help people. So even if people are looking at you, it is for the good, it is sort of divinely ordained for them to get something out of you, for their soul to grow. And you have that unlimited reserve of, inspiration to give. You're groundbreaking, Capricorn, and maybe ground your energy since I said that. Work out more, try to walk bare feet on grass, literally touch grass. It'll really, really help you. Pile number 3. Yeah, very, very spiritual. People can sense that you're very spiritually evolved and you know what is going on. Strong intuitive energy. But people could also feel that you're very unpredictable. People don't know what you're going to do next. And they sort of feel like they're on their seat, trying to figure you out. Pile number 3. That's what it feels like. Yeah, that's all I have. Again, it's a general reading. Take what resonates, see the rest of you. Share, subscribe, comment. Please have the video for me 3 times. If you're interested in learning tarot, astrology, witchcraft, if you want a personal reading from me, hit me up and I'll see you guys in the next reading. Thank you.